Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family channel. My name is Symmanayah if you're tuning in for the first time, and these are the words I am compelled to present to an awakening set-apart nation. To those who are drawn by the Almighty Creator, the Almighty Father Yahuah, He who is the beginning and the end, to Yahusha, Mashiach. As written in John 6:44. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, this sequence of messages. In this particular sequence I'm talking about is the final Exodus, Countdown 2023. We have less than 2.5 years, my brothers and sisters, to witness the Exodus, the long-awaited Exodus from our captivity, a return to the promised land. If you listen to the first installment of this sequence, the final Exodus Countdown 2023, the first and the second, I explained how I arrived to believe that December 2023 will be that time. I speak of it in detail in the first installment. Look around, O Yashar'al. The world is in chaos. There are so many things on many fronts that brings uncertainty for mankind. But among those who can discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name, among those who are his called and chosen ones, we will recognize all that is necessary to fulfill the promises that were made by Abba Father, Abba Yahuah, Father Yahuah. In this installment of the final Exodus Countdown 2023, you may notice I still post the banner of the 7 major feast times. I believe, as I state often, that it's a vetting tool when used and guided by the Spirit of Yahuah to determine, to vet the one in the mirror and to vet those we encounter on a daily basis. This final Exodus is easily spoken of, but we don't think about that it's actually a man, a woman, a wife, a child, or I could very well say men, women, wives, and children. And I put singular on this here because it begins with one, and then the one becomes many. In this installment, I began a sequence which I say is set apart Yashar'al in motion. Set apart Yashar'al in motion. Do you not know you cannot have a final Exodus without movement, without motion, and many, many other details and processes? But before I continue, let me say this. To you who are drawn by the Almighty Father Yahuah, to Yahusha Mashiach, who seek to do his will, I consider you my brother, my sister. I consider you my family. This installment of Yashar'al in motion, drinking, feeding, clothing. Drinking, feeding, clothing. Come with me as we talk, and I present the case why it is important for us to be mindful of these 3 things. 2 of them are highly on the prioritized list. The third is nice to have. Do you know, from a scientific perspective, it is said that man can only live 72 hours without water, and that it can go possibly 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or longer without food. So water is the priority. But keep in mind, Deuteronomy 8:3 that says man doesn't live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Almighty Father Yahuah. Water and food. Remember, believe and trust what I just spoke of, Deuteronomy 8:3. And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuah. My brothers and sisters, with the movement that is anticipated, we must understand that just as the Almighty Father provided for Yashar'al in the days of captivity, he provided water and food. Let us visit a time when he provided water. Exodus chapter 17, verse 5 through 7. And Yahuah said to Moshe, pass over before the people and take with you some of the elders of Yashar'al, and take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink. And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Yashar'al. And he called the name of the place Meribah, because of the strife of the children of Yashar'al, and because they tried Yahuah, saying, is Yahuah in our midst or not? Water. Yashar'al in motion. Water is going to be an important factor. Now let's look at an example of food. But there was also a time of greed. Come with me to Numbers chapter 11, verse 31 through 33. Here you would read, and the wind went forth from Yahuah, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp. About a day's journey on this side, and about a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground. The people were up all day and all night, and all the next day gathered the quail. He who had least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, and the wrath of Yahuah burned against the people, and Yahuah struck the people with an exceedingly great plague. You see, Yashar'al, he provided them food, but they got greedy. They just stuffed their mouths and even chewed and had food still in their teeth. And we see it's like the Almighty Father said, greed wasn't necessary. And you will learn. And he caused the plague to come before them. I'm sharing these two examples of water and food because in this final Exodus, my brothers and sisters, in this final Exodus, we must believe and trust that the Almighty Father will provide food and water. Food and water will be provided. Let me also read Exodus chapter 16, verse 12 through 17. It reads, I've heard the grumblings of the children of Yashar'al. Speak to them, saying, between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahuah, your Almighty One. And it came to be that quails came up at evening and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew laid around the camp. And a layer of the dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance as fine as frost on the ground. And the children of Yashar'al saw, and they said to each other, what is it? For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, it is the bread which Yahuah has given you to eat. This is the word which Yahuah had commanded. Let every man gather it according to each one's need, an omer for each being, according to the number of beings. Let every man take for those who are in his tent. And the children of Yashar'al did so and gathered, some more, some less. The Almighty Father, just like days of old, where he provided, we will witness him providing once again, my brothers and sisters, providing for his children water, bread, meat. My brothers and sisters, as end times ramp up, it is important for us to realize in movement. There will be some that will be ordered to leave and don't look for anything. Just move and begin your trek, your journey in the direction that the Almighty Father orders you. But there will be some among us, O Yashar'al, who will have water, who will have food. And we will learn to share. We will learn to manage what is provided. We will also witness examples as the Almighty Father did in days of old, like when he brought quail and manna. The things we need from a natural perspective in terms of water and food, the Almighty Father will provide. Some will even have filtration devices, or at least the skills and abilities to know how to filter water for drinking. There will be rain in some places there will not. But it is important, O Yashar'al, as we prepare to be in motion, that we understand choosing the best fluids is important. You see, O Yashar'al, there are coffee drinkers among us. I drink coffee. There are tea drinkers among us. I drink tea. There are energy drink consumers. I don't drink that, but I won't go to all that. But the bottom line, it's a lot of different fluids we take in. Some good for us, some not so much. Some would say it's a matter of opinion. But know this, Yashar'al, everyone cannot induce highly caffeinated drinks and it not affect their bodies in an adverse way or a bad way. Everyone cannot drink all the different teas because there are allergens, allergies. They may be allergic to certain types of plants that are used for teas. But water is something we all can drink. And so when it comes to prioritizing preparation, do not go 50-50 with I got my coffee and I got my water. Yashar'al in motion. Let us grab the things that we are ordered to grab. Let us leave behind the things we ordered to leave. In some cases, like I said, we may be ordered to leave all behind and just move with the clothes on our back. Yashar'al in motion. End times are here. My brothers and sisters, I want you to read the 11th chapter of Leviticus. Now, if you're looking at the screen, of course, the text is real tiny, and I have bold Leviticus 11th chapter. Here you will discover what foods to take and managing consumption will be of great importance. Leviticus, believe it or not, is the healthcare chapter in the scriptures. If you search out Leviticus, you will see things that Yashar'al was told to do to remain healthy and to demonstrate the healing power of the Almighty Father. The whole book of Leviticus is the healthcare book. Some might say, what is he saying? Look at it. It'll tell you what to eat. We learn how to maintain our health and the importance of water, even in cleanliness. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, knowing what foods to take and managing consumption is important. Knowing what to eat, when to eat, and how much. Recognize that there would be chosen leaders that will designate guardians over the food that we have as we move intermittently. There will be instructions on how to manage, how to disperse what supplies and resources we receive from the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, you may have heard me. If not, I have stated on more than one occasion that it would be mostly children. But let me pause because I'm not sure I put a disclaimer on there. The views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, and or shareholders or sponsors of this media platform. With that said, let me continue. We must begin to think about the foods that we will take, my brothers and sisters. We must learn discipline. We must be prepared. I've said it to be mostly children because children will not have been indoctrinated with greed as much so as older individuals who have had many years to build habits when it comes to eating and drinking. My brothers and sisters, we must be mindful of the health challenges from a baby to a senior, to babies getting milk, water, to seniors having water. They may not be able to tolerate some of the vanity drinks. Yashar'al. These are things we need to talk about. And for those who are addicted to caffeine, addicted to the teas, the time is now to be prayerful and mindful of knowing how to manage that addiction or come away from it. Yashar'al. You might say, what does this matter? Everyone's talking about leaving Babylon, but we're not talking about the details. Do you not know that if a person is arguing over whether to bring their coffee or if they're feeding coffee, they could create a problem within the gathering of Yashar'al? How? If we're heading in one direction and they smell coffee in another, and they step aside, I gotta go get me some coffee, or I gotta go get me some caffeine. Or if they see herbs or plants that they can get for tea, they say, I gotta go get that. Yashar'al, this might sound sarcastic, and it might seem unreal, but it's all too true. We must be mindful of what goes across the board, as I stated, water, what foods to eat. It would be wise, my brothers and sisters, to confirm and reaffirm specific abilities and set apart duties. You see, some will be able to identify the plants that we can eat, the seafood which we can eat, the meat we can eat. There are those with the abilities and have received favor from the Almighty Father and have learned or been taught the foods that we eat. Yashar'al, anything outside of what's commanded will lead to much destruction, pain, and heartache, my brothers and sisters. The final exodus. It's time to get real, my brothers and sisters, and know what is expected. There will be and must be leadership, accountability, and discipline. Feelings will be hurt, but we will learn to adapt and to adjust. Emotions will run rampant. Yashar'al, begin to have the discussion of what food you like, what drinks you prefer. Begin to examine how much we consume each day would be a wise thing. Asking ourselves, do we really need that much? Now, for those who are without, to those who are borderline starving, that's a different story. As we prepare, my brothers and sisters, as we begin to move, measuring time in consumption is critical. In other words, let's just say you had one chicken to share with a group of 20 people. How long would that last? So do you consume the chicken because you said, I just barely was able to share it with 20 people? Or do you take a portion of that chicken with some water and some rice, make a soup? Do you have flour? Do you mix the flour thick, make a dough, drop it in with one chicken leg or one chicken breast, and make dumplings? Maybe put some herbs. You see, Yashar'al, this might sound crazy, but it's time for us to recognize this exodus comes with requirements and expectations. We will need to know. I remember as a child in a huge family, or what would be considered a large family back then, how my mother or grandmother would stretch a meal to feed a house of many children. and adults, 3 adults. You see, we will learn, O Yashar'al, how not to be quick to squabble and complain and wish for the things we had looking back. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, began discussing these matters. Clothing will ultimately be modest. We will learn that these fringes and tzit-tzits that people say, well, that's in the word of God. But yet they don't have a problem admitting that Lord in Jesus Christ was not in the original text. You see, man has tampered with the text, but they cannot prevent the Spirit of Yahuah from making known what message he wanted to get to us. So why do we read the different translations? We read them because they are as pointers, pointing us, in many cases, pointing us to the Spirit of Yahuah. And it is his Spirit sent in Yahusha's name that teach us, that guide us, that make the scriptures alive so that we can discern and understand what is true and what was truly meant. And I'm saying that to say, with our dress, our garment should be healed with a purple cord, red, which symbolizes the blood, and blue, which symbolizes the word. When the blood and the word come together, my brothers and sisters, blood representing atonement, the word representing the living instructions from the Almighty Father. When they come together, the color that it presents from a physical perspective is purple. And we see in many translations, they say a blue cord. Do you not know that the synagogue of Satan, being rich as it's stated in scriptures, have twisted and flipped things around in more ways than many? Hem our garments neatly with a purple cord. This thing of tzit-tzits dangling from our waist, when we are to dress modestly with our garments below the crouch, whether male or female, modestly, not showing a lot of flesh. And fringes, some say, well, it's fringes, it's not supposed to be. There are arguments among us saying, oh, this is wrong, fringes is it. And fringes are phylacteries dangling around the bottom of your garment. Tzit-tzits and fringes, this is wicked, Yashar'al. It is erroneous teaching. Some are saying, oh, well, they don't even ask. And in my prayer, the Spirit of Yahusha said, men want to become more vain. They want to have a flair. So they exaggerated. They skewed what the Almighty Father was naturally saying. Do you really believe the Almighty Father would create an agricultural people to walk around with fringes dangling from their garment? How do you think that would work from a practical perspective? And then people say, well, his ways are not like our ways. The Almighty Father have always ordered and directed us to do the things that he believed was best for us and practical. We will learn to dress modestly. I believe it will come a time when we will literally wear white robes, washing them and cleaning them. And we will wear other colored robes, but we will wear things that are modest in dress. We will come away from tight-fitting slacks or pants, dresses or garments. Yashar'al, it is important for us to understand why we will get to the point where we will be dressing, as some would say, homely, in uniform. And there will be those among the adults that say, oh no, I gotta have my Jordans, or I don't know the fashion, whatever the names are. You know, Versace or whatever. I don't know. But whatever these designers are, people saying they gotta have their designer clothes, we must come away from that. And we will in this final Exodus. In more ways than many, we will witness a transformation for those who will be among the ranks. To the children, doesn't really matter. Those of a certain age. Regarding head covering, my brothers and sisters, I want to read this passage. There seems to be uncertainty or confusion when it comes to head covering. Come with me to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 4 through 16. Now, mind you, my brothers and sisters, the priests wore a turban, a mitre on their heads. Yes, we are priesthood, but the office of a single priest, the way it was back in the day, has changed due to the resurrection of Yahusha HaMashiach. Now, one would say Yahuwah changes not, so it didn't change. I could say it progressed. Now, you can argue with me, but think about this, O Yashar'al. Do we still have a priest that goes behind a curtain to make atonement for us? No. There's a lot of things that have progressed as we grew into fellowship with the Almighty Father. He taught us the things that are important to fulfill his promises. But back to regarding head covering. Let me read this. Every man praying or prophesying has his head covered. Having his head covered brings shame to his head. And every woman praying and prophesying with her head uncovered brings shame to her head, for that is one and the same as if her head were shaved. For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it is shame for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. For a man indeed should not cover his head, since he is the likeness and esteem of the Almighty One. But woman is the esteem of man. For man is not from woman, but woman from man. For man also was not created for the woman, but the woman for man, but woman for the man. Because of this, the woman ought to have authority. The woman ought to have authority on her head because of the messengers. However, man is not independent of woman, nor woman independent of man. In the master, for as the woman was from the man, even so the man also through the woman. But all are from the Almighty One. Judge for yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to the Almighty One with her head uncovered? Does not nature itself teach you that if a man indeed has long hair, it is a disrespect to him? And if a woman has long hair, it is an esteem to her because the long hair has been given to her over against the veil? Now I read this, O Yashar'al, because even in Yashar'al's moving about, habits were formed, behaviors were formed. So listen very carefully to this 16th verse. If, however, anyone seems to be contentious, we do not have such a habit, nor do the assemblies of the Almighty One. And I believe he's saying we do not have any orders from the Almighty Father in this regard. For sure enough, the very discussion of this is talking about some habits that they had. Remember, I said the scriptures have been tampered with. It would be contradictory to talk about this and then say we don't have habits. Yashar'al, understand there were habits, but there are orders. There are living instructions. We will learn how to truly dress. I talked about drinking. I talked about eating. And as I talk about clothing, my brothers and sisters, when I talk about the Tzit-tzits and Fringes, let me read this passage. For many individuals may not know what I was talking about. So come with me to Numbers 15, 37 through 40. 15th chapter of Numbers, verse 37 to 40. And it says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Yashar'al. You shall say to them, make Tzit-tzits on the corners of their garments and throughout their generations, and put a blue cord in the Tzit-tzit of the corners. First of all, our garments are circular. To put 4 areas and make it a corner. Okay, yeah, I get that. But Tzit-tzits, a lone string? No. Man has tampered with the scriptures. And whether some say he's trying to start his own doctrine. Watch those who demonstrate the power of Yahuah and provide leadership, teachings, and guidance regarding the things are correct. Watch as this final exodus comes. Choose your side. For if you believe this is true, hold true to that. But watch the Almighty Father prove what is true. He says here, 39th verse, I'm in the 15th chapter, and it shall be to you for a Tzit-tzits. You shall see it and shall remember all the commands of Yahuah and shall do them, and not search for your own heart, after your own heart, your own eyes, after which you went whoring, so that you remember and shall do all my commands and be set apart unto the Almighty One. We will learn the truth on the matter regarding this, or you can take the text. But watch when there are uncompromising gatherings of those for the final exodus. Watch as they come together, and watch as you witness those who are not allowed to bring such practices among the ranks of those who are being gathered. Yashar'al or Yashar'al, regarding garments, fringes, Tzit-tzits, and even specific embroidery. There are those who wear embroidered garments with Yahuwah's name embroidered on it, or a menorah, or Yahusha's name. This is a violation. Violating the commandments of the Almighty Father. Let me read Deuteronomy 22:11 and 12. Deuteronomy 22:11, 12, first of all. We will transition in the garments that we wear, and we will understand what is important. It says, do not put on garments of different kinds of wool and linen together. We will learn to come away from mixed garments mixed with different materials. It says here, make tassels on the 4 corners of the garment with which you cover yourself. We will learn that here the original text, when the Spirit brings it to life, it's saying, hem your garments all the way around. Hem them. And it would be with a purple cord. You see, Yashar'al, you may argue with me, but watch as the power and might of the Almighty Father begin to fulfill what is written in scriptures. So who will you lean to? What someone told you and you think is right, or because the majority of people can't be wrong? Or will you begin to see yourself, your spirit stirred, brought to peace, brought among those being gathered from the 4 corners of the earth? Pray and watch. Proof comes. Consider Exodus 20, verse 4 through 6. It says, you do not make yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, which is in the waters underneath the earth. You do not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuah, your Almighty One, am jealous, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment of thousands to those who love me and guard my commandments. You might say, it's talking about carved, like in wood or candle or something. It says, or any likeness. Look around, O Yashar'al. Search among the camps, and you will see there are some people who are newly coming into the truth. And they looking up to people wearing these Hebrew garbs. When I say Hebrew garbs, I'm talking about these garments, the flattery garments, where they put the embroidery of Yahuwah's name or Yahusha's name or a menorah. People newly coming into the truth will envy that. Oh, I want something like that. I want that. Who did yours? End times will prove that this is a distraction. It's a distraction of the eyes. It's a distraction that causes discussions to get one's focus on what we should really be paying attention to. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, make no mistake. The discipline of Yahuah will yield many corrections as we press forward. Let me continue. Managing our attire will reduce distractions. It will reduce arguments, distractions. It will help remove the different lusts when someone lusts after someone, looking at how tight a garment is on an individual, or how revealing this garment is, or what's embroidered on it. Do you know that the Almighty Father did not set up fellowships with logos and trade names? We are the children of Yahuah, drawn by him to Yahusha Mashiach. But yet, we have these camps and communities and fellowships that have come up with names and designed emblems and logos and embroidery on there. They even want to talk more about their emblem and brand than Yahusha. Count the number of times you hear Yahusha's name mentioned among any of these camps, and compare it to how often they mention their community logo, their community name, or their camp name, or their fellowship or group name. Branding with these logos, with these embroidered things, with these names, it's wicked, O Yashar'al. And as the final exodus come together, we will focus on brother, sister, all one by Yahusha Mashiach. Are we not aware that in John 12:32, Yahusha himself is quoted as saying, if he be lifted up, he'll draw all men to himself? Our focus should be on Yahusha, not the brand, not the logo, not the community name, the fellowship name. We see throughout the scriptures, it would say, those who are in Ephesus, those who were in Corinth. We've said the Corinthians or the Ephesians, Colossians. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, drinking, feeding, clothing is something we must be mindful of. Managing our attire will reduce distractions. And some of you might say, well, you said that. You're being redundant. I don't need to hear anymore. There will be those who would have listened to the redundancy in these words, and it would have anchored more in them than those who would have glazed over and said, I got it, and took it for granted. Consider Ecclesiastes 1:8, my brothers and sisters. It says, all matters are wearisome. No one is able to speak of it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. You see, my brothers and sisters, if we do not manage this flesh, our eyes will never be satisfied. But if we know how to focus, if we understand the importance of Proverbs 4:23-27, which speaks of focusing, having a mind to serve, to worship, to obey, is important. Flowery and fashionable clothing will be a distraction. Consider Matthew 5:29. It says, if your right eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out. Throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than your entire body to be thrown into hell or Gehenna. You see, my brothers and sisters, let us not be in a situation where our eyes cause us to stumble. Luke 11:34. The lamp of the body is the eye. Therefore, when your eye is good, all your body is also enlightened. But when your eye is evil, your body also is darkened. Let us not be distracted by vanity and vain behaviors in attire. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. I spoke of Ezekiel's wheels, how they are a blueprint for structuring of the coming together of a set-apart nation. Maintaining structure and discipline is a must. There will be loved ones, there will be individuals that we know, that will be purged from among the final gathered, as we are gathered. There'll be those left behind. Why? Because they ignore the structure, dealing with how we dress, dealing with how we manage resources and supplies given to us by the Almighty Father, given how we respond to the leadership that the Almighty Father has chosen. Maintaining structure and discipline is a must. Some will be left behind permanently. Some, and being left behind over a time, it could be a short time, a short period, a long period, may come to realize that they made a mistake and rejoin us. But saying we can agree to disagree is wicked. Yielding to compromising behaviors that war against the set-apart teachings of Yahuah, if we yield to that, that's wicked. Using the excuse saying no one is perfect to allow compromising behaviors into the camp is wicked. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, we are a set-apart nation, being fashioned, disciplined, and shaped. And watch as extreme humbling times get more and more intense. Our ears will ultimately get to the point where we're willing to listen and obey. Drinking, feeding, clothing will be managed. Yashar'al, begin some discussions. What do you like to eat? What do you like to drink? If you had to choose, what would you take food-wise, or what would you gather food-wise? And like I said, some will be ordered to move and don't be looking for supplies. Others will have found favor and have supplies. We will learn, O Yashar'al, how to work together in unity to ensure that we are functioning to fulfill the final exodus and more, to fulfill the ways that have been given to us by the Almighty Father Yahuah. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, drinking, feeding, and clothing. Yashar'al in motion, things that must be considered. Have these discussions. Get the arguments out the way now. Establish a mind. Begin to sharpen our senses so that we know how to quickly establish priorities as guided by the Almighty Father. What takes priority over the other? What is a must? Yashar'al, drinking, feeding, clothing. What to take, what not to take. What to wear, what not to wear. What to eat, what not to eat. These matters are of grave importance. Make no mistake, O Yashar'al. The truth to these words will be magnified. Stay tuned, my brothers and sisters. Details and processes will be made clear. Visit Watchman.net. I invite you to examine it. There's a contact page. Come, my brothers and sisters, let us connect. Discover ways, my brothers and sisters, to get connected and involved. Discover what the Spirit of Yahuah is stirring within you to move physically, to act. Help me, O Yashar'al. Bring your abilities and your supplies. Make them known. Let us work together in the coming together of Yashar'al. And for those of you who may not know what's expected of you, what you must do. If you believe that I'm moving in a way that will welcome those who will be gathered from the four corners and more, obedient children of Yahuah, guided by the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. If you believe I'm on the right track and I'm providing you information, but you don't know what else to do, consider sending some finances, my brothers and sisters. I have Hashtag White Rose Family. You may have saw it at the bottom of each slide. Hashtag White Rose Family. Help me. Help me to physically and naturally sustain the needs that I have. I'm not talking about wants. I don't have an expensive car, and the vehicle that my wife and I have, they're paid for. But yes, we have a mortgage. As you can see, I'm not a youngin', so to speak. Help me, O Yashar'al. Help me to provide and coordinate the supplies, the resources, the teachings, the education regarding the work that must and will come to be among a set-apart nation. A lot of details, a lot of moving parts, but these moving parts will move together. Formation will take place in the proximity that you're in, and as you move and migrate towards the direction the Almighty Father have you, you will meet up with other set-apart individuals, and one wheel will become inside another wheel, until, O Yashar'al, we reach the true Mount Sinai, which is commonly known as Jabal al-Awz, situated in the northwest quadrant of what's known as Saudi Arabia. We will witness the mountain of Yahuah, proclaim, recognize, and the children of Yahuah that are gathered from the four corners of the earth, centered around it like one gigantic wheel with various tasks and duties as we await the physical return of Yahusha HaMashiach. True chosen leaders will rise and execute judgment to bring about the discipline that is required. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, will you help me? There are other means if you want to help me financially. I have a PayPal. Email me. Reach out. And I will tell you how to submit other ways if you want to help financially. If you don't want to bring your supplies and resources, at least make them known. I have this to contribute to Yashar'al, and it will help last for this amount of time or that amount of time. Or do you think it's about hoarding and protecting only yours? Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, I am confident that the extreme humbling times that will get intense will bring about those who will listen and seek to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah. That they will understand that the voice of Yahuah is the voice of Yahusha. And by saying Yahusha is recognizing Yahuwah's plan for our restoration and salvation, that they are indeed one. To ignore Yahusha is almost like saying, I'm going to set him over to the side and I'm just going to ask y'all for some water, some bread, some clothing. Would you like someone to come ask you about something and disregard the leadership or disregard the person that made it so? We cannot disregard the plan that Yahuwah laid out. And his word manifests before us. The sacrifice, the resurrection, was in Yahusha's name. He sent his set-apart spirit in Yahusha's name, as it is written. We will learn life in the scriptures, and we will learn how to understand what is true, O Yashar'al. Choose wisely. On that note, I pray for your good health, or at the very least, I pray that you have the strength and endurance to go through whatsoever state you're in, that you understand that the flesh will go back to the ground. Our earthen vessels will go back to the ground, but it is our spirit who will be with Yahuwah for eternity. It is the spirit of a man. We will be transformed. What we will look like, we do not know. But the scriptures tell us we will be as the messengers. The scriptures tell us when we see Yahusha physically, we should be as he is, for we shall see him as he is. Search out the scriptures, O Yashar'al. Study, pray, seek to discern the life that you may understand what's ahead. Ask questions. I invite your questions, your comments, your fellowship. My name is Symmanayah, and I end with saying to you, Shalom. Shalom, my brother, my sister. my family.